It's February 12th, 2019, and yes, we got some more pro wrestling news. Today is a very, very interesting day for WWE. We have two big news stories. We're going to talk about Dean Ambrose breaking the script on Monday Night Raw and what that actually means for WWE and Dean Ambrose specifically. And we're also going to talk about Eva Marie coming back to WWE because there's a lot of interesting stuff happening there as well. We're going to break it down here on DestinationProWrestling.com. My name is Tony, and let's jump right into today's news. So Dean Ambrose breaking the script on Raw. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, on Monday Night Raw, Dean Ambrose delivered a one-line promo to Seth Rollins, which he basically wished him luck in slaying the Beast at WrestleMania. Now, for those who didn't know, it recently came out that WWE had more intentions, a larger script per se, for Dean Ambrose, and instead of going by the creative process and everything that he's supposed to do on WWE television, this was a situation where Dean Ambrose went and did his own thing. Now, this is not shocking to me because Dean Ambrose is the type of guy, in my opinion, based on what we've seen and what we've heard about his personality in the pro wrestling world, this is not shocking to me. But it really makes me think as to whether or not the story of Dean Ambrose not re-signing with WWE is real. You know, this entire time up until yesterday, I did not think that Dean Ambrose was I didn't think he was going to actually, stay with WWE. And now that we're seeing how he's been playing these storylines, especially with EC3 and now this whole Seth Rollins thing, it's really interesting to me as to whether or not he's actually staying or going. A lot of people on Twitter have actually had some really good theories. They've been saying that Dean Ambrose might be doing what CM Punk could have been doing in the WWE. And he might be like the anti-hero/hero. It's a really weird thing that people are talking about. But I can see Dean Ambrose going the CM Punk route, and on top of that, not only can I see this actually happening, for Dean Ambrose, I think summer of 2019 could be the summer of Dean Ambrose, and I'm starting to get the hint here that Dean Ambrose may also turn on Seth Rollins again. I think this is one of those things where, the script was allegedly supposed to be about something with Roman Reigns and the Shield and being together, and then he was going to tell him, slay the Beast. But for him to only deliver this one-liner, it's either one of two things. It's either one, Dean Ambrose is no longer going to be on WWE television, and with him no longer being on WWE television, he's just doing whatever the hell he wants, which I guess makes a lot of sense. That theory does work out pretty well on its own. I think there's a lot there that, we can kind of understand. But part of me is thinking that WWE also leaks these stories. This is something that we've actually discussed before on the Tony Pizza Guy channel, back when I was doing a podcast with Mr. Anthony Nukes, if you guys remember that. I know some people have asked about it before, but we talked about this on a podcast that WWE has pretty much leaked stories out to the media in hopes of, not only swerving people, but obviously getting people to talk about the brand. And sometimes these stories that get leaked aren't always positive. Sometimes they're negative. I think at this point, it could be a very big chance that WWE leaked the story and came out and said, listen, Dean Ambrose is not re-signing, because I think there's going to be big plans for Dean Ambrose. And I don't know specifically how they're going to go about this, but I do know that if they do push Dean Ambrose this summer, and this is the summer of Ambrose, then not only could they make Dean Ambrose a better version of what CM Punk is, but now they could really start building towards the future of their company and no longer relying on Universal Champions and stuff like that. And what I mean by that is they've been pretty much relying on the Goldbergs and the Brock Lesnars to carry that belt, and that hasn't really been a good thing for the talent on WWE. So putting the belt on the waist of Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose allows people to do these things. And then obviously your Drew McIntyres, your Samoa Joes, your AJ Styles, your Finn Balor's, those are the kind of guys who are going to get that opportunity. Now, one thing I also want to mention in regards to the story with Dean Ambrose breaking a script, there has been no said report on how Vince McMahon or anybody has felt, but I feel like this was one of the best moments on Raw because it just seemed real, it seemed authentic, and it was kind of weird because of this whole Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins situation. We've kind of seen how that's turned, and now, all of a sudden they're like boys again. It's really, really weird, but I think there's a reason for that. And maybe the idea of Dean Ambrose becoming closer to Seth Rollins again, maybe regaining that trust. I think this could be a situation where perhaps maybe at the end of WrestleMania, at the end of Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar, maybe this is a situation where we end up seeing Dean Ambrose turn on Seth Rollins again. Now, if I want to be a creative free thinker, I think this is at the point where I would say maybe potentially it's possible, I could be wrong, but maybe we can somehow get Dean Ambrose and pair him up with Paul Heyman. I love a Dean Ambrose heel turn. I think that could be like the perfect thing for WWE at this point. I think Seth Rollins, Dean actually having a true story to build towards and doing things like that, I think it's going to help very greatly, obviously on television. And on top of that, you guys already know by watching the show, they've gone back and forth. They have history. There's a story behind that. And it gives all the reasons for people to get invested into the storyline. So breaking the script, it's a really good idea, but obviously behind the scenes, we don't know what the reaction to that is. On to the next story of the day, guys. We're going to talk about Eva Marie coming back to WWE. As you guys know, there's been a lot of talks about WWE bringing back some more stars, obviously with that new TV deal going to Fox. And this is a really interesting situation. She recently told TV Insider that there's been some communication back and forth with WWE. A lot of people probably on social media would say that she's the worst star to ever exist in WWE. But contrary to reports, it does seem like there is some interest in WWE bringing her back. It looks like they're working out the details. One of the cool things that I've noticed about Eva Marie was the fact that towards the end of her last WWE run, she was obviously improving in the ring. She was doing private training, things like that. And that definitely helped her kind of get some love from people like on social media. But at the end of the day, this is pro wrestling. This is a script. And this is a show where, you know, you either get invested into the characters or into the action. And she does provide some really good flexibility with her character. A lot of people were excited to see where that may have gone. Obviously, we know that she left pretty abruptly. And now we're looking to see what's going to happen here. You know, and this is where WWE does a good job. You know, they have a lot of stars who leave WWE. They kind of work on their name. Obviously, she was a big part of their reality TV shows, the Total Divas and stuff. So now that she's kind of left WWE, she did Celebrity Big Brother. She's done some other projects, podcasts, things like that. There's definitely a good reason to bring her back. It is being said that they might want to move her to the Smackdown brand, which, as you guys know, this is a very big move for WWE because they are going to have one TV show on USA Network and they're going to have another one on Fox 2 on Friday nights, and that's like prime time television. So obviously they're going to use a little bit of that value from her name. Whether you guys agree that she has that value, that's really up to you. That's why we have a comment section here on YouTube. But here on DestinationPW.com, we're telling you guys what we think of what's happening. And honestly, I think this is a good move for both parties. She's going to get a nice big payday from WWE. She's not the best wrestler, so it gives people a reason to watch because people, believe it or not, will want to see if she's improved. And on top of that, people love to see people suck. And this is one of those situations where, you know, a lot of people were interested in that. And on top of that, you know, again, she's coming into a situation where she's kind of did some things away from WWE. Now she's going to go back to WWE. And I think, you know, with the women's division, it's usually the most boring division going in, you know, considerably on TV. It's always been the most boring division to watch. But in the last 5 years, this women's evolution, all the women have really kicked some ass. Now they're in some big marquee storylines, and I feel like it's a good situation for her. And obviously she could come in, she could be the heel, you know, she could talk about how she built this women's division, blah, 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 blah. And that's going to get you guys to boo her. That's going to get you guys to hate her. And that's exactly what she has to do. I mean, that's the best way to go about it. A lot of people really didn't like the idea of her, you know, coming into WWE and getting this big entrance or whatever, and she didn't put in 20 years of experience. And people as fans love to hate on superstars like that. So this is a situation where her character will definitely be greater than her in-ring ability, and that's all the reasons why this is a big move. With that being said, guys, my name is Tony from DestinationPW.com. For more pro wrestling news, reactions, all that good stuff, make sure you guys click that like button, leave a comment down below, and as always, click subscribe.
You have reached your destination.